Why is it that after years of being in business and even after all the success that you could imagine, you still feel like an imposter? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about why so many business owners struggle the longer they are in business. And not only that, I'm going to show you the difference between coping with the overwhelm of entrepreneurship, especially when it all starts to get too much, versus actually moving through it and being better because of it. And lastly, you're going to want to stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to share with you 4 things that you can do right now that's going to help you to embrace the chaos of this journey, whether it be in life or business or both. And it's going to help you really understand how to sustain yourself throughout this crazy, chaotic journey called life. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Nicole, a life and business coach for high-functioning women. I'm a self-proclaimed foodie, content creator, educator, and your new abundance bestie. In my world, we talk about all things to do with elevating your life. I post weekly videos helping the everyday woman embody her highest self, create inner wealth, master her mindset, unlock her femininity, and be an absolute boss in life. I create resources, trainings, and host experiences online and in person in order to help you reconnect to your true self. Not the one you think you need to be, but the you that you were born to be. So you can reclaim your power and amplify your voice to lead, love, and create as a woman. If you like my vibe and you want a little bit more abundance in your life, hit subscribe to be notified whenever I drop a new episode. And be sure to check out the free resources in the description below. So I struggled with this feeling of extreme overwhelm and feeling really run down and exhausted when I hit my 4 years in business. So I had achieved all the things that I had thought I wanted. I achieved the dream business. I got myself a car. I was able to move into my own apartment. I hit 6 figures. I did all the things that my vision board was telling me was the dream life and business. And yet, coming to the 4-year mark of my business, I suddenly felt like I was a failure. I began to go down this spiral of feeling completely inadequate, and I found myself day after day begin to spin out in comparison and feeling like I just wasn't good enough. I couldn't understand why this was happening to me, and it really felt like even though I had every reason on paper to say that I had been successful, I felt like the complete opposite of that. Coming out of that journey now and supporting so many ambitious female entrepreneurs, I realized that this isn't something that just happened to me. This happens to a lot of us, especially the longer we are in business. And so I began to ask myself, why does that happen? Why is it that the longer we are in business, the more we feel like an imposter? And that's what we're going to dive into today. So let's set the scene first. This video is for you if you are a high-functioning, ambitious girly who is building your passion and freedom-based business, but you have been on this grind for a while now. A lot of what you have been doing, you might even acknowledge, has been out of this hustler, go-getter energy. And that is not all bad. That is just the mode that you have been operating on. And so when you hit this stage, and if you are watching this, you probably are in this stage or starting to feel the symptoms of it. How it usually shows up is you feel like you're doing so much and yet you're still so far from the lifestyle and the business results that you want. Not only that, you feel exhausted. You feel like this constant looming inadequacy and exhaustion just swimming around all day, every day in the back of your head. You maybe also struggle to give yourself space and time to recover or to rest, or if you do, you feel really guilty doing it because you feel like you're leaving money or clients or opportunities on the table. And you are probably at a stage in your journey as well where you are realizing that these programs, patterns, and habits are not necessarily helpful for you, but you can't seem to break out of them. The hustle mode is truly the mode that you are so familiar with, and it's so hardwired into you that you just don't know how to operate your business or your life in any other way. So if this is you and you have found this video And you're also at the stage that I'm talking about where you have just realized that you are successful on paper, but you're deeply unfulfilled. Here's what you're probably trying to do to cope with it. You might be putting up boundaries that are just isolating you. So you might put up boundaries like unfollowing people, cutting off friends, basically doing all the self-care girly things. But these boundaries are coming from frustration or resentment. They're actually isolating you rather than nurturing you to get through the season. And I'll talk more on that a little bit later. You might also be sitting there justifying your own self-pity. You are shooting all over yourself, saying things like, I should be here by now. You might also have a lot of emotional, mental breakdowns where you just feel like a total failure, and then you just shrug it off and you say, it's fine, I've cried it out, I'm good now. This is not really productive for you. This is you trying to cope with it, but you're not really moving through it, and that's why it keeps happening. So you might always be having these like unintended, random, seemingly random mental breakdowns. You might also be judging other people. You might be saying things about other successful people who maybe have the lifestyle that you want and the business structure that you want and the results that you want. You might be looking at them and going, well, we don't really know what their life is like. They can't possibly be that happy or that successful and have a peaceful life. They must be so stressed behind the scenes. There must be something they're not showing us. We judge them and we assume that something has gone wrong because we don't want to acknowledge that you can actually have that reality without sacrificing or losing yourself. Last thing is you might be becoming a little bit resentful towards your business. It might be feeling like you have to drag your feet to build your dream business and your passion project, whatever you call it, and you might just be faking whatever you're showing on social media. You maybe have fallen out of love with the work, and the energy of passion and the drive that came with you starting your business is probably well dried out. And so instead of these things, what you want to be doing are these. You want to learn the difference between coping and actually processing what you're going through and becoming better because of it. And again, stick around to the end because I'm going to share with you 4 things that's going to help you to actually do that. Second thing, you want to learn the tools, the actual tools that you can use in your day-to-day life to help yourself move out of the mental tornado of guilt, shame, overwhelm, and anxiety so that you can actually be productive throughout your journey. Because let's face it, the tornado of anxiety and worry and fear will come, but if you have the tools, you can get out of that tornado faster and become more effective in life because you're not constantly getting sucked into it and being paralyzed by your own overwhelm and imposter syndrome. You also want to learn how to come back into alignment with your calling and your why. A lot of people don't really know whether they are out of alignment or in alignment, and that's one of the main reasons why we end up building businesses and lifestyles that we don't even feel lit up by anymore. One day we wake up and go, this is not what I signed up for. We often feel trapped in our business or working in the business rather than working on it, and we feel like we've just created another 9-to-5 for ourselves. Lastly, you need to learn how to embrace chaos because that is a part of what it means to be human and to live this human life. Embracing the chaos isn't just about saying whatever and renouncing all responsibility in life. It's about really understanding the mechanics of learning to be steadfast, learning to stay on your path, while having life happen and to know and be so clear and so focused and disciplined to that path. So keep watching if you want to learn these things. So why does imposter syndrome hit us twice as hard the longer we are in business? Let me tell you. This is what I call the passion trap. So many of us start our journeys in entrepreneurship from passion. We are so deeply obsessed with our mission, our vision, and our belief is high, our emotion is high, our energy is high. We are so invested that we lose all logic. You know that thing when they say love can make you go mad? That's essentially what it is. Passionate love is beautiful, yes, but it can also be blinding. And what the dictionary defines as passion is strong and barely controllable emotion. And while it may be effective for a period of time, even years, there is a point at which passion can become this incessant need for validation, and you won't even know. And this is where passion and a pure desire and intention to do something good in the world and to make something of yourself can turn into your anxiety's attempt to protect you from being insignificant. And your ego has a lot to say in this, because your ego doesn't want to be insignificant. Your ego wants to belong. It wants validation. It wants praise. And in the beginning, when you are in that passionate state and you are hitting your wins, you're getting the validation, you're making those sales, you are just having this beginner growth period where literally everything is new, so everything is literally a win. It can be so validating. But when things start to slow down, or when business starts to get hard, or when you have setback after setback after setback, you begin to experience that wear and tear. And if you're not setting your internal world and your external structures in your lifestyle and your business to support withstanding those setbacks, then what's going to happen is that passion is going to become anxious action. And so this passion trap is something we really need to be aware of. If you have progressed in your business journey and you're in that stage that I talked about earlier, this is what you need to be aware of. Maybe what you were operating your business from was from just passion, this blinding and barely controllable emotion because you were just so head over heels in love with everything that was happening, to now the passion has died out and your anxiety has taken over. And that high functioning overworking has burnt you the F down. When we are so in love with something, it drives us crazy. It literally drives us so mad sometimes that passion becomes jealousy. It becomes possessiveness. It becomes micromanaging. It becomes needing to be validated by the thing that we love. And that's what has happened to me in my business, that looking back now, I think that's what was happening that burnt me to the ground. I was constantly making excuses for why I needed to hustle and do more and do everything and micromanage everything so it was perfect, because my validation came from my business. When love, or when the intention of doing something isn't coming from passion, but from a healthy, relational, fulfilling, mature love for it, there is boundary, there is stability, there's structure, there's a giving and receiving, there's allowance and space, and it's not this overbearing jealousy or manipulation or like needing to like control, right? So this is where we then introduce imposter syndrome. If you are feeling this way, even though you have been in business for so long, it is because that expression of love or passion has evolved into fear. And imposter syndrome is feeling like a fraud. It's feeling like you don't deserve your success or you don't deserve what you desire. And often it's underpinned by feelings of self-doubt and inadequacy. When you are in this experience of imposter syndrome, you're often also trying to attain perfection and being paralyzed by that expectation. You may also not feel like you belong. So even though you have been building your business for a long time, you may feel like you still don't know what you're doing, and you may feel like nobody really trusts you and that everything you've done is a total fraud. And you compare yourselves to other people who maybe have started the journey with you or have had a similar journey to you, and you compare where you are to where they are, because you all of a sudden don't feel like you deserve to be at the table. So why so many business owners hit a wall after being in the business for a long time? Here are 3 reasons that I think is: 1, the stakes feel higher. The longer you're in business, the more competitors there are. You might have started your business or your journey where there was like maybe a limited number of competitors, and now it's popular, it's trendy, and everybody's doing it. And you might feel the pressure of becoming outdated. And also you might feel the pressure of your own expectations that you set when you started, comparing to where you thought you would be by now. Second thing is time. You might be feeling the pressure of goals that you set that were time-oriented, and feeling so attached to those goals because you have made them mean something about you. For example, I had a goal that in my 2nd year in business, I would be making multiple 7 figures. I didn't know what the heck life had in store for me. I didn't know I was gonna go through a 6-month transformation journey, or I was gonna experience death and move out and have all these disruptions to life. The 2 years and the goal of 7 figures, that is something that I could choose to hold over my head and say I'm a failure because that didn't happen. Or I could just be like, that was just a really badly predicted or intended goal, and that deadline means nothing about me. The third thing is money. You might be feeling the pressure of not having the money goals that you have set. You might be feeling pressure of other people's money goals and comparing your money results to them. If you are hitting this consistent cycle and constantly, for example, just making enough to make ends meet, or never having more after your launches, or struggling to raise your prices, these might be cycles that you're stuck in. And so the longer you're in those cycles, again, you will start to feel like an imposter. You will start to feel like you don't know what you're doing and that nothing is working. It's really important that we recognize that this imposter syndrome is really just an interpretation of our mind. Imposter syndrome is a feeling, it's like a state. One thing I teach my clients is that imposter syndrome is a byproduct of the feelings that you are feeling. And where do feelings come from? Feelings are triggered as a response to our thought patterns and our belief systems. So if your constant thought pattern is things like, I don't deserve to be here, or that failed launch means I'm not a good coach, or I haven't made 7 figures yet, therefore I'm not going to be successful in business. These are stories and thoughts that might seem true and might feel true, but from observation of your thoughts, you don't have to believe them. I guess it's hard to not believe them when they feel true, but you can choose to think about them and reframe them so that the feeling doesn't become your lived experience. Because imposter syndrome is a state in your body, and that is created by the consistent feelings that you are feeling, then what you have to understand to move out of imposter syndrome is that imposter syndrome is not actually about what other people are doing. As much as we want to believe that our imposter syndrome is created by our experience, our interpretation of what's happening in the world around us in comparison to ourselves, imposter syndrome is actually about what's happening within us. It's not about belonging to other people. We think imposter syndrome happens when we don't belong to other people or we don't experience the validation from them, but actually imposter syndrome happens when we don't believe we can belong to ourselves. It's about not feeling worthy to actually be exactly who we are and to be successful as we are. Moving out of imposter syndrome is about healing your relationship with yourself and learning to belong to your own self. Belonging so fully to yourself that you're willing to go through anything and to still hold the belief that you can be successful. It is a place of solitude and peace that comes when you are able to really accept and embrace your entire journey and your entire story and all of your results as part of your becoming journey. The opposite of imposter syndrome is confidence, and confidence comes from a secure self-concept that comes from belonging to oneself. What does that mean exactly? Well, belonging to yourself feels like being at home. It's like you know exactly where everything is. You can be totally who you are, judgment-free. You can have all the mess ups. You can be the most goofiest version of you, and you know that you're going to be accepted and loved. If not by your family, you know that you will accept and love yourself because you're just in the comfort of your bedroom. There's nothing that could go wrong. And that's why our favorite place in our home is our bedroom, because we are our most whole, authentic, and true selves. There's no way that you would feel like an imposter or feel like you are breaking into somebody else's room in your own room. An imposter feels like, I shouldn't be here. But in your own bedroom, in your own home, you don't feel that way, right? It's about learning to come back home to yourself and create that internal feeling within so that when you belong to yourself and your self-concept is strong, you can go through anything and you can experience failure after failure after failure in your business and not make it mean anything about you. So, how do you actually move through this chapter of your journey? I'm going to teach you 4 simple things, but before I do, I want you to ask yourself, do I want to just cope through this, or do I want to finally move out of it once and for all? If you are ready to move out of it once and for all, I need you to understand the difference, because some of you think you're moving through this and you're becoming better of it, but actually what's happening is you're just repeating the cycle and you're just band-aiding over the situation. Coping looks like working on yourself and trying to change things, but still ending up with the same pattern of overwhelm, limiting belief, and anxiety. I felt this way for a long time in my business, and that's why I stayed in the hustle for longer than I should have. And eventually I had no choice but to experience burnout and just falling flat. Putting a band-aid approach while the roots are rotting is not sustainable. Eventually it will show. Moving through this season in a healthy way means actually really processing everything and embracing the mess. So how do you actually embrace the chaos of the journey? 4 things. Number 1, you're going to reframe the situation so that you can see the lesson out of it. Reframing is really easy to do. One of the tools I like to use is from the NLP practice, neuro-linguistic programming, where you understand that your language, like I explained earlier, your language shapes your feelings and therefore your actions. If you're telling yourself, you're using words against yourself, like I should have done that, I am such a failure, and you make stories about circumstances and your results, then of course you're going to feel bad. So you want to practice reframing whatever it is that's happened to you or that's happened to your business from a lens of positivity. And it's not toxic positivity where you're ignoring the facts. You can just choose to reframe the way you see it. So that launch didn't go well, or it's been 4 years and you still haven't made 6 figures, multiple 6 figures. Just tell yourself a better story. Don't make it mean that you're a failure. That really is just, in short, it's better self-talk. Reframe with better self-talk. How you perceive something is going to affect how you feel it. So you may as well perceive the situation in a positive light, because you get that choice to reframe how you see something. Whatever that thing is just happened. It didn't happen to you. It just happened. The facts are facts. It didn't happen maybe from a logical standpoint because maybe you didn't make 6 figures because you didn't have a marketing strategy. Maybe you didn't reach the number of people you needed to reach to get the conversions you needed to get. That's strategic. That is not personal. And so learn to see the facts as well and reframe with your language. Second thing is you're going to embrace your humanity. You're going to embrace the fact that you are human and you have high energy days, low energy days. You're going to embrace the fact that you are an emotional being and that you will experience loss, grief, shock, discouragement. If you work against this, it's going to be really hard for you because you're not super freaking human. Journal, reflect, have space in your day to feel things. If you feel disappointed, then feel the freaking disappointment, but don't stay in it. The disappointment is temporary. Every emotion is temporary, but don't suppress it either. So feel it, move through it, and create this healthy relationship with every emotion, because there are no good or bad emotions. Third thing is you're going to find a support system or community to belong to. This is to ensure that you are held and seen and that you don't feel like it is only happening to you. You'd be surprised the amount of groups that you can join where people are literally feeling and going through the same thing. I want to remind you, you are a social being. You are made for community. So get around community where you can normalize what you are going through and also have support through it. And that brings me to my 4th point. Allow vulnerability. Share your story, because every time you share your story or you acknowledge your failure, whether it's on social media or in your own journal or to your friends, to the community that you're part of, it allows you to move out of the victim seat and to be in the co-creation seat instead. When you can observe what has happened and glean a lesson from it or retell that story, you're able to give yourself wisdom from the experience. Experience loses its energetic power over you when you can look at it from observation. That is when it becomes wisdom. So if you are somebody who needs this, come join the I Am Her Collective community, because that is exactly why we exist. Whether you are a woman in business or you're a woman who just wants to get through life with less chaos and less getting caught up in the emotional tornadoes, come join our community, because that's why we exist and we are here for you, and it's a free space. So that link will be in the description below as well. That's it for today's video. Like and subscribe if you want more videos like this, and if you are interested in booking a free realignment call with me, go ahead and do that right now in the description below. All right, my lovely, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye. If you want to take your abundance to another level, I want to help you. I'm a life and business coach for women who want to step into their next level by activating wealth from the inside out. To help you take your first step to unlocking true abundance and your aligned potential, I'm giving you free resources, workshops, and masterclasses that you can access on demand right now. Check out www.nicoleconception.co/free-resources to get your hands on it. For more videos like this, check out the other playlists and series I have on this channel, and don't forget to hit subscribe to be notified whenever I drop a new video. And if you're more of the podcast type, check out Freedom in Flow, where I dive even deeper into the concepts that will help you create less hustle and more flow, abundance, and alignment in your life and business. Now, if you're a reader, you'll want to subscribe to my email list for unfiltered, honest, and most importantly, applicable life upgrades. Now, don't be a stranger. Connect with me on Instagram and TikTok and send me a message. I love getting to know you and your story. It's why I do this. Okay, my lovely, that's all for now. I'll see you soon. Signing off, Nicole.